Good evening. Tonight, legal fireworks at the Lagos Judicial Panel on restitution for victims of SARS-related abuses over recording from the Lekki Tollgate CCTV camera on October 20. The Inspector General of Police warns against resumption of street protests in the name of EndSARS, says police will not condone violent demonstrations again. Representatives of the federal government and university lecturers in talks to resolve their disputes and end the ongoing industrial action by ASU. And Iran's top nuclear scientist assassinated near Tehran, the country's capital. Authorities say it's an act of state terror. Plus business, sports, and later international news from our London studios. On business news tonight, Nigeria's banking community holds its 55th annual dinner as CBN governor raises hope for a better economy.
On sports news tonight, Nigeria's Super Eagles dropped 3 places in the ranking of football playing nations by FIFA for the month of November.
We start off tonight with the legal fireworks at the Lagos Judicial Panel of Inquiry and Restitution for Victims of SARS-related abuses and other matters. The mood at the panel changed when lawyers took turns to dig into whether or not the remaining CCTV recording on October 20th, 2020 be reviewed at the sitting. This followed arguments raised by the EndSARS lawyer who tried to establish some discrepancies in the recording at the Lekki Tollgate before, during and after the incident. The lawyer then asked the panel to invite the Minister of Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, to explain the circumstances in which he found a camera at the tollgate days after the shooting. Other petitions were also heard at the panel.
If there's irregularity,
3 petitions were listed for hearing at the panel, with the session starting with the Managing Director of Lekki Concession Company answering questions on the video recording from the LCC cameras.
you will see that from 12 hours to 1 p.m., that's almost 13 hours, the camera was tilting and panning and rotating at the average of 15 to 19 seconds to capture the entire area. So where is the control located?
The control room.
Where?
It's located at Toll Plaza 2. Toll Plaza 2.
And what?
Toll Plaza 2 is the office, our office that is at Chevron.
Chevron.
That area. Yes.
Okay.
The Lagos State government lawyer is quick to come to his rescue, but not without a heated argument from others.
Mr. Glenn had a chance to look at it just like the rest of us, and we agreed that having regard to what we are looking at here, whatever happens before the curfew does not appear to be part of the issues we have problems with. So we agreed that from 5 o'clock after the curfew took off till 8 when the video ended was relevant portion, and we came back and the panel ruled and agreed.
My lord, with due respect, when Mr. Owunikoko stood up now, I thought he would give evidence as per the discussion between us. I was impugning his integrity. But I've listened carefully. He didn't go to the issue of the caveat, except if the gentleman is saying, I never put up a caveat in my meeting with the two of them. I put a caveat that, but I will agree for us to continue from 5 to 8 if, when it comes to cross-examination. Let me finish.
LCC used to do things this way. At this particular time of the intake that we are interested in, that thing changed. That's what it's trying to establish. Then we should know, why did it change? If before the sequence is 3 seconds, then the one we are interested in, the sequence changed to 1 second, 5 seconds, and all that. there must be an explanation.
After the heated argument, the panel takes a break to rule on whether or not to watch an extended version of the video footage. The matter is then adjourned till December the 11th.
I would have been raped because of all of this.
Other petitions before the panel include that of one in Kemakolam of Para, a victim of police brutality, and Aminat Olusoya, who told the panel about how her husband was shot by the police.
That very day, on his way back, he was stopped by police. I don't know whether there is argument between two of them. The police shot his tire, his vehicle tire, and forced the vehicle doors to open after the argument and shot him.
It's killing husband.
Just calm down.
Just in front of the police station, there were so many policemen there, so many of them. I cannot count how many was there. They started beating me. It wasn't just any kind of beating. With their legs, pound, conk, slap on my face. I lost control of my body. My phone fell on the ground. One of them used his foot to smash the phone because he believed I was recording with my phone and I'm going to post it on the internet. While we're still at that gate, some were coming out, they joined the beating, dragged me inside. That was where I lost control of my body. I peed on myself.
The session ends with a panel promising to take more cases and speed up the fact-finding process.
Away from the panel sitting, here is a warning from the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Mohammed Adamu, and this message is to those who are planning to resume street protests in the name of End SARS to have a rethink. He was speaking today in Abuja during a meeting with senior police officers. The IGP directed commissioners of police and other senior police officers to redouble their efforts in securing the country ahead of the Yuletide.
It is the monthly meeting of the Inspector General of Police with senior police officers in Abuja. The Inspector General, while reassuring residents of his renewed commitment to guaranteeing the security of the nation, warns violent protesters not to test the will of the police.
When the NSAS protest started peacefully, we provided security for them. We were moving with them to make sure that they were not molested by any group of people. And it was going on well until it turned violent. And when it turned violent, they now attack the people that are even giving them protection. So we shall never allow any violent protests in this country again.
The Minister of Police Affairs calls on police officers to scale up the internal security of the country.
And I want to urge you to continue to do more. We want to urge you to continue to be more committed to the cause of the country and to continue to ensure that we maintain peace and security of the country. Mr. President is very much confident that we can do this job, and he has always been very, very proud of you.
Again, the Inspector General assures Nigerians of the commitment of the police to provide adequate and effective security throughout the country, as he promises to arrest prisoners who took advantage of the End SARS protest.
I wish to reassure the citizens of Nigeria of our renewed commitment to serve them and ensure their security and safety. In doing so, we continually solicit the understanding, support, and encouragement of all citizens and other segments of the society in the country.
The meeting, which continued behind closed doors, is aimed at reviewing the operations of the police within the last 1 month in order to re-strategize ahead of potential security threats.
Some more stories now. Striking members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities are currently holding talks with the federal government delegation, and there are indications that the striking lecturers would call off their industrial action today. In his opening remarks, the Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, says the meeting hopes to actualize some proposals made by both parties at their last meeting. He appeals to the lecturers to sheathe their swords so that schools can reopen. The president of ASU, Professor Bondu South, said they are ready for the business and that the position of their members have been documented. The federal government had earlier shifted grounds, offering a cumulative of 65 billion naira to universities for revitalization and academic earned allowances. They also offered to pay lecturers all withheld salaries on the old payment platform before the introduction of IPS. Meanwhile, the organised Labour and federal government will now meet on Monday to finalise talks on the new tariff of petrol and electricity. The union leaders are insisting that government must revert to the old pump price of petrol or face a nationwide strike in protest. The meeting last night is the latest over the ongoing controversy over the price of petrol and electricity tariff.
Leaders of workers' unions comprising the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress, as well as officials of government, arrived at Banquet Hall, Presidential Villa, where a rescheduled meeting to address issues arising from the recent hike in the price of petrol and electricity tariff is holding. An earlier meeting with the Labour leaders on Sunday ended abruptly when officials of the workers' union staged a walkout. An action they later explained was a protest against government's breach of agreement.
President of TUC.
At the opening of the rescheduled meeting, both parties expressed optimism about addressing the impasse.
Let me thank the Labour leadership particularly for your display of patriotism. And I believe strongly that every party to this discussion must have consulted sufficiently, and we have come back here tonight to reach certain conclusions that will further the cause and the good and well-being of our people.
If we are talking about electricity tariff or fuel increase, pump price of PMS, we are talking for everybody, because we ourselves will visit the pumps and reassure everybody that we will agree to disagree and disagree to agree.
We should understand where the last meeting stopped and where we are continuing today, so that we will relate normally. Because peace doesn't mean absence of crisis or misunderstanding. So that is why we should not bother what might have happened before. And Labour is the only, I will repeat it, pan-Nigerian organization.
The meeting then enters a closed-door session. About 3 hours later, the TUC president told journalists that the meeting is adjourned by 1 week to allow government to make further consultations.
Well, the outcome of the meeting is that we adjourn till the next 1 week for NNPC and the Minister of Petroleum to do proper consultation on the reversal of the fuel price back to what it was before. And that was our conclusion. The meeting is adjourned till Monday. So until Monday, before we can know the conclusion of the meeting.
There have been 5 meetings with Labour leaders in this banquet hall since the last 2 months. None have been able to resolve the impasse, even as they file out through this door.
About 32 Nigerians living in Germany have been sent packing from the country and repatriated. Their offences range from not having legal documents and also attacking Nigerian politicians who visit the country. Most of them, said to be members of the indigenous people of Biafra IPOB, have already arrived in Nigeria. Among those repatriated are those who attacked the former Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu, who was on a private visit to Nuremberg, Germany in 2019. It is reported that they have already served their sentences. Chairman of the Nigeria in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM, Mrs. Abike Dabiri Erewa, says about 12,000 Nigerians who sought asylum in Germany but were turned down are also being expected in the country. She says many of them do not have the legal documents and the German government is unwilling to support their stay. Let's go over now to legal matters, where the Federal High Court in Abuja has granted bail to Bondu South Senator Ali Ndume, who has been in detention since Monday over his suretyship for former Pension Reforms Task Team Chairman Mr. Abdulrasheed Maina, who has jumped bail. In his ruling, Justice Okun Abang said he decided to grant the senator bail based on his record of good behavior before the court, even though the other grounds of his bail application failed. The bail granted is also pending the hearing and determination of Senator Ndume's appeal to challenge Monday's order sending him to jail for his inability to produce Mr. Maina in court. The justice ordered the senator to produce one surety who must be a resident of Abuja and present evidence of ownership of property anywhere in Abuja. According to the judge, the surety must also depose to an affidavit of means to indicate his readiness to forfeit the bail guarantee should the senator also jump bail. Senator Ndume stood in as surety for Mr. Maina, who is standing trial for money laundering. Still on legal matters, the Supreme Court has dismissed an application filed by Shell Petroleum Development Company of Nigeria Limited seeking to set aside a January 11, 2019 judgment of the court upholding 17 billion naira damages awarded against the oil company. The Apex Court had upheld an earlier judgment by the Court of Appeal affirming a June 14, 2010 judgment of the Federal High Court, which awarded the damages against Shell over an oil spill at Ejame Bulu in Tai, Elemeloku government area of Rivers State in 1970. Dismissing the application, Justice Samuel Osuji, who read the lead ruling of the Supreme Court's panel, prepared by Justice Sentus Nweze, held that the application by Shell asking it to revisit its earlier judgment was unmeritorious. After the sitting, lawyer to Ejame Bulu community, Mr. Lucius Mwosu, told journalists that the judgment sum with interest now stands in the region of 160 billion naira. Meanwhile, the oil giant has been reacting to the judgment by the Supreme Court, saying the court did not decide liability or the size of the award, which is in dispute in other ongoing court proceedings. The company made its position known in a statement by its spokesperson, Mr. Bamidele Odubeson, who notes that any attempt to enforce payment of the judgment fee should not be permitted. It states further, this spill was caused by third parties during the Nigerian Civil War, a challenging period which resulted in significant damage to oil and gas infrastructure in the region. While SPDC does not accept responsibility for these spills, the affected sites in the Ebubu community were fully remediated. It describes as regrettable the legal process in this case, which it claims has focused for so long on procedural issues and not the merits of the case. Still in the courtroom, a magistrate court in Abuja today sentenced a member of the House of Representatives, Honourable Victor Mello, to 1 month in prison. The member who represents Biliri Balanga Federal Constituency was reportedly found guilty of lying under oath while filing the CD-001 INEC form prior to the 2019 elections. Honourable Mello had deposed to an affidavit 3 times denying the citizenship of another country. The magistrate in Wuse Zone 6, after the November 10 judgment, set a different date for sentencing after his lawyer pleaded for leniency. Honourable Mello was also given an option of fine. And the Northeast Governors Forum has expressed dismay that despite the challenges of development, especially in infrastructure in the region, the 2021 proposed budget makes provision for only 45.32 billion naira for capital projects. The chairman of the forum, Governor Babagana Zulum, reveals that poor road infrastructure remains a pressing issue that the Commission must focus on. He made this request during their session in Adamawa, the state capital.
We have earmarked major roads in the Northeast sub-region, especially the roads between Gombe to Bauchi, the road linking between Maiduguri, Bama, Yola, the road between Jalingo, Zing, Mayawala, then to Yola, then the road between Numan to Gombe, among others. Honestly speaking, that has been one of our discussions today. We have taken it up. The Northeast Development Commission is due to us, and if you can carefully review what was just read by the host governor, you have seen he has noted our concern with respect to road infrastructures in the Northeast sub-region. And that is why we are calling upon our legislatures to ensure that such roads are properly placed in the 2021 budget.
And to security, military says troops of Operation Fireball under the Lafia Dole command have neutralized several Boko Haram terrorists and destroyed their camps in the month of November. Giving account of activities, the Acting Director, Defence Media Operations, Brigadier General Bernard Onyuko, says between November 19th and 24th, the troops captured gun trucks, cache of arms and ammunition. While commending the troops for the commitment exhibited during the raids, he also sounded a note of warning against complacency. Meanwhile, gunmen have shot dead a police officer in Ekiti State and abducted an expatriate. Another expatriate is also said to have sustained gunshot wounds. The public relations officer of the police in this state, Mr. Sunday Abutu, confirmed that the incident took place this evening on a road under construction in Ado-Ekiti, the state capital. He says the police have put machinery in motion to ensure the rescue of the abducted expatriate and bring all culprits involved in the killing to book. Over in Nasarawa State, as investigations continue to decipher the killers of the Nasarawa State APC chairman, Mr. Philip Shekwo, 9 persons have been arrested by a combined security team and are currently being interrogated. Governor Abdullahi Sule disclosed this when he received the Women Commission of the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria in Lafayette today. He noted that the arrest is as a result of intensified combing of the route followed by the perpetrators by security forces.
I'm happy to inform you that the people who we are suspecting, so far anyway, 9 people have been arrested, as being and are being interrogated in connection with the chairman. But more important than that, the combined operation followed some of these people around Loko, and they killed all the 3 of them. After killing the officers, they recovered 4 AK-47 rifles. So the situation we have, is that yes, we are having few security challenges in the state, but our security officers have not rested.
News Just In says that the talks between striking members of the Academic Staff Union of UniversitiesASU and the federal government delegation have ended in Abuja. The Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, who briefed journalists after the 8-hour meeting, said the dialogue was fruitful, saying the government made a proposal which ASU will take back to their executives. Dr. Ngige explained that 8 issues were discussed at today's meeting, including salary shortfall, the payment system for lecturers, and revitalization of universities. He expressed optimism that all the issues will be resolved at their next meeting. ASU's president, Professor Bondu South, on his part, said the union agreed with all that the Labour Minister said. We take you to politics now, where the governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma, has been defending his counterpart from Ebonyi State, who recently defected from the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to the All Progressives Congress, APC. According to him, the defection of Mr. David Mahi to the ruling All Progressives Congress does not mean he wants to run for president of Nigeria. Governor Uzodinma was fielding questions today from the State House correspondents after a closed-door meeting in Abuja.
You don't give presidential ticket by the market square. It is the decision of the political party. You must be loyal to your political party. So I know that my brother Umahi is politically strong in the southeast, and joining APC will add value to the strength of the party in my region. But he never told me that he is coming because he will be president. So I want these people who want to cause confusion and create a bad name for Umahi to run away from that point and then encourage our people who have decided to align with the ruling party. Of course, the commissioning of the Watersmith Modular Refinery is a very great thing that has happened in Imo State. As I speak to you, all the petroleum products that will be produced by that refinery between now and March next year has been fully paid for by.
Well, still on the defection of the Ebonyi State Governor, a People's Democratic Party Governor, Bello Matawalle of Zamfara State, seems to be in support of the defection of Governor Dave Umahi. Just like President Buhari, Governor Matawalle sees it as a bold move to speak against the issues creating division in the PDP. The governor says the extent of bad blood in his party is enough to make the Ebonyi State Governor jump ship. Governor Matawalle also expressed frustration with his recent experiences with party members, especially governors, a situation he describes as puzzling. Integrity is a major ingredient that is lacking in the country's governance structure. This assertion is coming from the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Prize for Leadership, Mr. Ike Nleyaku, who notes that it is the reason why many aspects of the economy are not measuring up. He was addressing journalists on the sidelines of a leadership training session for some youths in Abuja.
We want to listen to the young ones.
Integrity is the soul of life. It is that thing that defines you. Frederick Price will tell you that integrity is doing something when nobody is watching. So how many of our leaders really can sit in their offices and somebody will come to them and they will stand upright and say, I will not do this because it is against my conscience. The greater work that we are doing today is that we are raising the consciousness. We are beginning to address it as an issue. I mean, look at the kind of things that we have been seeing in our society. Look at what has been going on in the National Assembly. Look at other areas of governance. Look at the economy. Look at the way things have gone. We are raising this as an issue. And we are saying, henceforth, we should begin to address the issue of integrity in leadership. If we leave it, it will destroy us.
To some company news now, the Eco Electricity Distribution Company is flagging off its Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition Distribution Management System Center, SCADA DMS. At the formal unveiling of the system in Lagos, the Minister of Power explains that the infrastructure will hopefully translate to improved service delivery to customers within the distribution company's network.
Electricity plays a huge part in our everyday lives, whether it is at home, at school, or our workplace. Ensuring that the supply of power is reliable and available in the areas that the Eco Electricity Distribution Company serves is the reason for this occasion, as the company formally introduces its Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition System, which is set to be the first in the West African electricity distribution space.
SCADA innovatively gathers real-time information, identify loopholes or breaches in the network, and transfer this data back to a central site.
SCADA is one of the most important technology in the power distribution business globally, and I'm optimistic that this event will translate to improved service delivery to customer within Eco Electricity Distribution PLC's network.
As the tape is cut, it's a warm welcome to the fully digitalized infrastructure where Eco Electricity Distribution Company's distribution areas are outlined and real-time monitoring is on.
When you're monitoring, when you're able to look at what is happening at each of your substations remotely, you're able to also get the chance to, to react faster. And remember, this is part of the CBN NEMS fund. that came in in those early days and still supporting us. As you can tell, the metering with the federal government that just happened is also another big deal that the CBN is supporting.
We are able to gather a lot of data on our server, and the more data you gather, the better your analysis.
For the management of a coal electricity distribution company, this strategic achievement proves that the federal government's power sector privatization program is transforming the Nigerian electricity supply chain.
And more about the World Bank's package for Nigeria, here's Teniola Shibawali with Business News.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Millicent. Welcome to Business News. The banking community in Nigeria took advantage of their 55th annual Bankers' Dinner organized by the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, CIBN, to unwind away from the workspace. The forum also gave the bankers the opportunity to look at the challenges facing the nation's economic growth. Delivering a keynote address, the Governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, who says he has attended 5 previous annual dinners in his capacity as CBN Governor, explains that the current economic shock Nigeria is facing is due to the COVID-19 pandemic. He, however, gives assurances that the country will survive.
Let me assure all Nigerians that monetary and fiscal authorities are alive to their responsibilities to restore the Nigerian economy back to recovery. But at this point, I also see this opportunity to appeal to Nigerians, particularly our media economic analysts. We confess that the problem we face today is of global dimension, and Nigeria is not alone. The global economy is today challenged, so Nigerian economy is not alone challenged. Although the 2016-2017 recession was challenging for the authorities, Nigeria exited that recession in just after 5 quarters. Notwithstanding the challenges posed by the current crisis, we are very optimistic that Nigeria will surmount this challenge. And indeed, recovery is in sight.
The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, says that the federal government has fulfilled the conditions listed by the World Bank to access the $1.5 billion loan. In an interview with Bloomberg today, Mrs. Ahmed mentioned that the bank's board will meet next week to discuss the possibility of approving the request before the end of the year. She also hints that the federal government may tap into the Eurobond market next year, depending on the interest rates available, despite tapping into the domestic markets to raise funds. Well, let's check in on the stock market now, with 18 gainers and 16 losers recorded on the price chart. The local stock market ended Friday's trading session higher, with an additional 93 billion increase in value after a mixed sectoral performance. Chimeze Obi-Wagu has the details.
Thanks, Tenny. 34,000 mark. That seems to be the new resistance level for the equities market. What we saw today was more of investors resisting sell-off, particularly on banking and industrial goods, because they are expecting good returns in terms of dividend by the end of the year. So what we are likely to see going forward is investors choosing to hold rather than sell. And in fact, more buyers are expected to come in. See how this played out on the sector chart. The banking sector closed in the red, but that drop would have been worse to drag the market if not for FBNH and UBA. And of course, the industrial sector remained unchanged. The bear almost took the shine, but the bull put up some resistance. The market traded in the red until 30 minutes to the end of trading, when stocks like MTN Nigeria increased in share price, as well as Unilever, UBA, and FBNH. And here we are, 0.24% positive. The week-to-date close was also positive at 2.19%. I spoke to a stockbroker earlier, and he said the days ahead are good, and the bullish trend for the year has not ended, irrespective of the somersaulting naira at the forex market. And so, it's with that optimism I expect we move into the weekend, hoping for a better and more fulfilling week ahead of a new month. Back to you, Teddy.
And that's Business News Tonight. I'm Teniola Shubowale. Back to you, Millicent.
Iran's most senior nuclear scientist, Mohsen Fakhrizadeh, has been assassinated near the capital, Tehran. Western intelligence agencies believe he's behind Iran's secret nuclear weapons program. Iran's foreign minister, Mohammad Javad Zarif, has condemned the killing as an act of state terror. Let's head over to our London studio now, where Simon Pusey has more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Donald Trump has declared he will leave the White House if Joe Biden is formally confirmed as the next US president by the Electoral College.
I will. Certainly I will. And you know that.
However, answering reporters' questions for the first time since losing the November the 3rd vote, Mr. Trump insisted that this race is far from over, and he has refused to concede, citing unsubstantiated claims of voter fraud. Individual states are currently certifying their results after Mr. Biden was projected as the winner with an unassailable lead. The electors will meet to formalise the result on December the 14th, with Mr. Biden due to be sworn in as president on January the 20th. French authorities have suspended 3 police officers after they were seen on video beating a black music producer in central Paris. The incident has prompted a fresh outcry over the conduct of French security forces. Earlier, police were accused of using unnecessary force as they dismantled a makeshift migrant camp in Paris. The incidents come as the government tries to bring in new laws banning the broadcast of police officers' faces. Critics of the legislation say that without such images, none of the incidents which took place over the past week would have come to light. 13 Australian Special Forces soldiers face dismissal because of their connection to the alleged unlawful killings in Afghanistan. That's according to Australia's head of army.
The Afghanistan inquiry.
Australian Lieutenant General Rick Burr did not identify the soldiers being dismissed, but he said they were not part of the 19 current and former soldiers who face possible criminal charges for the alleged killings. An independent report published last week revealed that Australian soldiers killed 39 unarmed civilians and prisoners in Afghanistan between 2005 and 2016. Taiwan's opposition legislators have thrown pig guts and exchanged blows in Parliament amid a heated row over the easing of US pork imports. As Prime Minister Su Tseng-chang began speaking, opposition lawmakers threw buckets of pig guts his way, and some exchanged blows with a short but vicious brawl involving the opposition and the ruling party. The government announced in August they would allow from January the 1st next year imports of US pork containing ractopamine, an additive that enhances leanness but is banned in the EU and China. The opposition argues this would be a health threat. And finally, a 20-year-old ethnic Tibetan man in Sichuan province has landed a prestigious job after videos of him went viral on Chinese social media. Captured by a photographer for a photo series called Smile on the Highest Altitude, Ding Zhen racked up 2 million followers on social media in just a few days. Many followers commented on his good looks and free-spirited nature. Despite his inability to read or write, his recent fame has led to dozens of job offers, with Ding accepting one from a state-owned travel company. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.
Thanks, Simon. Time for some sports news now. Here's Ayotunde Balogun.
Many thanks, Millicent. Flying Eagles coach Isan Ladan Boso has picked his 20-man squad that will feature at the West African Football Union tournament taking place in Porto Novo, Benin Republic. The competition, which holds from December the 5th to the 20th, serves as the qualifying tournament for the 2021 Under-20 African Nations Cup that will be staged in Mauritania. The Flying Eagles start their campaign on December the 6th. The Super Eagles of Nigeria have dropped 3 places in the latest FIFA World Ranking. The Super Eagles Pro Ranking does not come as a surprise following their uninspiring outing in the AFCON qualifiers against the Leon Stars of Sierra Leone. Teranga Lions of Senegal are number 1 on the continent. Tunisia remains second, while reigning African champions Algeria dropped 1 spot to 3rd in Africa. Morocco, Egypt, Ghana, Cameroon, Mali and Burkina Faso make up the top 10. Al Ahly have clinched a record-extending 9th African Champions League title after beating bitter rivals Zamalek 2-1 in the final played at the Cairo International Stadium. Mohamed Magdi scored the winner 8 minutes from regulation time to earn South African coach Pitso Mosimane his second silverware at the club. Al Ahly will get $3.5 million for the victory, which includes a minimum $1 million for competing in the FIFA Club World Cup. The French Football Federation has announced a loss of $28.6 million since the summer as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. President of the Federation, Noël Le Graët, says it hoped to recoup some of the losses from its broadcast and commercial rights deals. He adds that spectators should be allowed back into matches early next year so that football franchises can recover from the financial impact of the pandemic in record time. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. That's a wrap in Sports News. It's back to you, Millicent.
Thanks, Ayotunde. And the main news again. There were legal fireworks today at the Lagos Judicial Panel on restitution for victims of SARS-related abuses and other matters over a recording from the Lekki Tollgate CCTV camera on October 20. The lawyers argued over whether or not the remaining CCTV recording be reviewed at the sitting. Also today, the Inspector General of Police warned against any resumption of street protests in the name of End SARS. Mr. Mohammed Adamu said the police will not condone violent demonstrations any longer. And Iran's top nuclear scientist was today assassinated near Tehran, the country's capital. Authorities in the country described the killing as an act of state terror. Well, that's news at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Millicent Morgan. Have a great weekend.